Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another 10 listing, not a best of sort of top 10, but I'm going to go through 10 great horror films that never get talked about. Well, when I say that, I mean like when I go through and watch other horror channels or look for reviews and stuff like that, a lot of these films don't get a lot of sort of coverage, and they're really good films. Um, and I just feel some of them some maybe be sort of forgotten. So let's give them a little shout out and see if you can maybe track them down and maybe watch some of them. Some of them would probably be dirt cheap to buy, probably in places like CEX and that, but I don't know. But I'm going to go through 10 awesome horror films that I've not seen a lot of people talk about. Okay, so we're starting off with this one, which is called Chained. Now, this is a uh, if you want to compare it to a modern film, I would say like Black Phone. It's a sort of kidnapping sort of phone about this guy that gets kidnapped by this serial killer and is kept chained up in and stuff like that, and witnesses all these sort of killings and stuff that's going on. It's a really cool film, and one that I've never seen anyone sort of talk about. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this one out of my collection so I can review it on the channel because I think it needs that extra bit of push and love. Really cool film, and I really enjoyed it, about this sort of taxi driver who's like a serial killer. Really cool. Chained. Next up is an old 70s Italian film. I have reviewed this on my channel. It's called A Candle for the Devil. Really cool film. I can't underestimate what a great film it is, about these two sisters that run this sort of hotel, and they're killing off their guests because they're going against the will of God, if you like, and not their sort of ways. And it's quite as a very nasty film, if you like it. It's not a very nice sort of like, you know, just because you dress, this woman will dress quite sexily. No, they end up getting killed and stuff by these two women that live in this house. And it's a really cool sort of 70s horror, Italian sort of exploitation film. Really cool. Another one I've never really heard anyone talk about, starring William Dafoe, Sam Neill and Ethan Hawke, and that's Daybreakers. And this is a kind of modern day sort of vampire film, but it's sort of like it's different than any other sort of vampire film out there. It's not like a vampire film with guys with fangs and stuff. It's like in a modern day sort of world, modern day sort of business sort of world, and it's a really cool different take on the vampire movie. Um, it does have like that sort of 28 Days feel about it, where and a little bit of the Matrixy sort of feel to the film as well. So it's a really different sort of look upon the vampire sort of uh, world, and it's definitely worth checking out if you get a chance. Daybreakers. Again, I think you can pick this up quite cheap um, in in uh, in CEX. I believe it's out of print now, but I think you can still pick it up quite cheap. Good film, Daybreakers. Next up is a monster flick, a modern monster flick starring um, it's got executive producers of Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Wes Craven, um, and it stars Henry Rollins, and it's called Feast. And this is about these guys, people in this sort of bar in America, are being it's like it's not a home invasion, but it's a bar invasion, and there's a creature outside killing people off, and they're sort of stuck in this bar trying to find a sort of way out. So if you like The Mist, but with gore and stuff like that, it is very gory film. There's a lot of gore in it, and there's some really sort of fun characters in the film, which I really liked, and that's why I really liked it. I think because of the characters of the film, and I love Henry Rollins from the. He's really cool. He plays a great part in this film. It's a good fun horror film, movie, sort of monster flick. Very gory, quite black comedy. It's a very sort of it's a great watch. It's a great popcorn movie to sit on a Friday night when you've done work for the weekend with your popcorn and that, and you sit down with something like this. Really cool film. Feast. Check it out. Really good. I try to put a bit in it for everything, for everyone. So we've got a British horror film next, and this is called Howl, which is based on a train conductor on a train here in the UK, and he's on his last trip for the night, and the train gets sort of like attacked by something on the outside and breaks down. So the train driver, played by Sean Pertwee, goes out to sort of investigate what's going on and gets killed. And in the film text, there's a creature outside stalking the people on this train late at night. And it's all about the sort of survival of getting through the night with this creature outside, sort of like trying to get whatever's on the inside of the train. Really cool film. Another great fun film. It's just a brilliant sort of movie. It's probably one of the best British sort of movies of this kind since American Werewolf in London. It has got a really cool feel to it. Love it. Howl. Please try and check that out. Next we're off to Korea for an extreme disturbing film called I Saw the Devil. This is a really good film. Again, it's another sort of serial killer film, but it's a different sort of way of take on it. This one's based on this serial killer kills this woman and her husband, then goes on a cat and mouse chase with this guy. He sort of captures the killer, and then he tortures him and lets him go, and then chases him again and catches him again and tortures him again. So he's getting his revenge on him. So it's a revenge movie, but it's done in a very sort of disturbing way. It is quite graphic. It is, you know, it's one of these sort of high Korean extreme sort of horror films. It's really, really cool though. Definitely worth checking out if you've never seen it. I Saw the Devil. Next one is a little bit different, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's called The End of Watch. Now, when I first got this, because I thought it was just about two cops pursuing like a drug sort of gang thing, and it is, but then there's a horror element comes into it, a sort of black magic, sort of witchcraft, sort of voodoo sort of thing gets into the film, and it goes down the route of a more horror film than just a normal sort of cop drug film. It's a really, really cool take on that sort of movie. Gives it a real dark sort of feel to the film, and it's absolutely wonderful. Really cool. It's quite brutal as well, and it's got some sort of shocking scenes in the film. Really cool. End of Watch. Three more. Next one is another, I think it's an 80s film, and it's a sort of eco horror film. It's called Prophecy, about these people that go to this area they're trying to preserve from it being sort of knocked down by developers, and there's this creature living out there that's like a killer sort of bear, and it's a creature feature, but it's got like this sort of eco sort of storyline behind it, and it's quite cool. Really, really good, and it is quite creepy, and it is a really, really good film. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about it, but I believe it's quite popular. But although I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about it, I just wanted to give it a little shout out. Prophecy, check that out. So the last two is another sort of creature feature. This one from, I think it's probably the early 2000s or late 90s, called Splinter. About this creature from outer space that's got these sort of splinters that shoot them out. When you get caught in them, you sort of like get killed and turn into sort of like these creatures. And it's another sort of fun Friday night film like feast that you would just sit down and watch. It's really, really cool. It's got some cool scenes in it, and the creature features are pretty cool in the film. It's got some gore in it. It's quite gory. It is an 18, but I do recommend it if you want to see it. It is a bit gory in places though. but it is something that you've probably never seen anything like it before, and it's really good. Splinter. So last but not least, I've got a sort of a cult film. I say cult, not like a cult film, but based on a cult, and it's called Red State. Again, I've not seen anyone really talk about this. This stars Michael Parks, John Goodman, and Melissa Leo, and it's based on this cult religion to this church that have kidnapped these boys and they've executed them. And then there's this police sort of element to it that are trying to close down this cult, and then it turns into like an all-out battle with the police and the cult. It's a really cool. It's got that sort of police cop feel to it, but then it's got that horror element where like they've been kidnapping it and torturing and executing these teenagers and stuff like that, and it's just such a really well played out film, and I loved every single minute of it. It's got a little bit of a Tarantino feel to it in a way, but it's also got a strong horror element to it, which I really enjoyed. And I think, yeah, it's a good mixture, and it's also got a bit of humour in there with the police sort of bumbling around. It's really cool watch if you want to get a chance to watch something that's a little bit different of a sort of horror film. You know, it's a cop film, stakeout film, but with horror elements and a cult. So if you like your films like let me try and think, it could be a little bit like The Sacrament, films like that. If you enjoyed that, you'll probably enjoy Red State. Really cool film. And that is 10 recommendations for you. If you've seen any of those, let me know what you think of them down below. But if you haven't, check one of them out. Just check at least one of them out and see how you get on. And you might think, do you know what, I enjoyed that. Let's check out some of the others that Joss recommended. So until next time, guys, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.